don't move on from grief. So many people talk about moving on from grief and like, why don't you move on? And, as we talked about, you never move on. It's there. And her message was, we move forward. In running, the part I've kind of added to this forward is a pace is no matter the speed, forward is a pace. And so when you're out running, when you're out walking, that movement is what matters. It's that forward momentum of just taking one step.
Well, Alex, welcome to the middle.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
So you just got back from the London Marathon. I want to start there. How is that? Are you recovered? How long does it take to recover?
Yeah, I don't vacation well. So the week of the marathon, I actually logged about 100 miles. Like that was race day and like adventuring while we were out in London. So
aren't you supposed
recovered.
to taper?
Yeah, no, we definitely taper, but this was like, pre and post. My recovery was an active recovery. That's what I'm telling myself at least is.
Okay. Are you believing yourself?
Not really. No, but we're getting through it.
What was it like? I have heard London, one is a flat course, is pretty flat.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yes, yeah. It is very true.
Especially to like a Boston or something like that.
Right. Yeah. Night and day.
But I've also heard the energy in London is really unique. Like it's really electric. And you're nodding your head yes.
Yes, it really is electric. Like New York City, I did that marathon 3 years ago, and that like stood up as like, oh my gosh, the crowds are amazing. You come off a bridge into Manhattan and just like the roar of down First Avenue. London was like that for the whole race. It was insane. My fiance Lindsay was trying to meet me multiple points on the course, and she couldn't even get on a train. It was so busy. Like almost 60,000 runners ran it, and then like a million some odd spectators. Like it is wild.
There are also good. I know you and I already chatted about this. There's good marathon signs at every marathon.
Yes.
Do you see them when you're running the race? Like, do you see the signs, or are you just kind of focused?
Yeah, I definitely pay attention to the signs. I tend to like good photography, so I stand to run to either my left or to the right, not in the middle with all the people. So you see all of just some fantastic signs. I'm a dad myself. I've got an 11-year-old son, and so I love all the little kids with their signs. There's so many like Mario power up mushrooms or stars, and that's always cool. And the ones that just make you laugh, I think, are my favorites.
Like, what's going through your mind? And we're gonna get into all the marathons you've done, but
yeah,
any race, what's going through your mind at the start line?
There's a lot of nerves. I tend to build these races up and just get nervous about getting out there. So there's that. There's a lot of amazement as well of just like, holy crap, I am out here with 50,000 people and I'm going to go run the insert marathon, right? And it's wild, it's jittering, and it's exciting and terrifying all at the same time.
Because there's logistics too. There's like logistics just getting to the start line. You and I were texting back and forth. Tell your New York Marathon logistics story.
So it's wild. So you come to New York, whatever days you've got to go get your bib the day before. About 6 months before the race, you have to choose your transportation option. And I'm a charity runner, and so there's a charity bus that leaves from Central Park. I had to get up and get on a subway train at 4:45 in the morning to make it up to Central Park for a 5:15 bus, then ride a 45-minute bus ride from Central Park to Staten Island. But because the race is so huge and the logistics of getting everybody running, I didn't actually cross the start line until almost 11:30. So I was in Staten Island at 6 a.m. and I didn't start.
What's the hardest part of running a marathon? Is it the cramping? Is it your lungs? Is it the internal conversation between your brain and the rest of your body?
Yes, all of those things. So I think it's different for a lot of runners. I'm generally a kind of a back of the pack runner. And so I'm not setting any world records. I'm not qualifying for Boston at my age. That's a 3-hour marathon. I'm not doing that. And so I think the hardest part before you even show up to the race is all of the hours of just training. The
Mhm.
long runs on Saturday, all of that stuff. On the day, I think it just for me, each of them have been a little different. Like Berlin, when I did that one, it was the mental was like mental struggle the whole time. Just quit. You're not going to make it. Don't do it. Like just give up. Because Berlin has some time cutoffs, and based on where I
Oh.
would fit and how that would all work, I was worried for 3+ hours that I was just going to get swept off the course and it wouldn't count
Oh.
for what I'm trying to achieve and all of that. So that was a big problem.
And you haven't always been a runner.
No,
So and definitely not a marathon runner. You
no.
started back in 2020
Yes,
running?
that's correct. Yep.
Before we get deep into the running, we kinda already have, but I think we also have to understand what got you into running. So tell us about Amanda.
So my college sweetheart Amanda, we got married shortly after college. Went through, we were happy in our mid 20s. We went through a couple years of infertility, which was a huge struggle for us. And we thought, like, as a couple, sometimes you just have the thing that you have to like go through, and we thought infertility was going to be that thing for us. And little did we know, after a road trip with her high school girlfriends, she came home in just like excruciating pain. And like, okay, let's go to the hospital. Like something is wrong here. And that night, after a couple of tests, uh, the doctor came in, sat down, and said, "You have cancer, and it's really bad. And you've got to go see an oncologist in the next 24 to 48 hours. There's nothing else I can do for you here. Go home, get some sleep."
Oh,
Uh, yeah. So it was just like an out of body experience of like, wait, what? Like I'm dreaming. This is not real. What? And then,
yeah.
how do you go home and get sleep after hearing that? you know?
That was honestly my thought, was like, how do you
Yeah,
sleep after getting that?
you don't. I think is at least that was my experience. You don't. And over the course of 16 months, she did 25 rounds of chemo, 50 rounds of radiation, multiple surgeries. We visited multiple treatment centers, and ultimately she passed in February 2019. And so that was the kind of soul crushing moment that opened my eyes. I was 34 at the time. Our son was 4. Just like having to tell your son at 4 years old that his mom died was, it was like when I told him, his cry was like I could hear his heart breaking in half. It was just a visceral, like a broken bone, painful cry. And so I realized shortly after, like, he should not lose another parent because I couldn't take care of myself.
Did that also, I mean, I'm sure, that plays in when when you have that thought of health-wise, but it's also, having gone through some grief of my own, like, it's the mental part too. It's the
Yeah.
taking care of yourself is holistic as a
Yes,
parent in that
it is.
situation.
Well, yeah, and on the day she was diagnosed, I'm pretty comfortable saying I was the secondary parent. Like she was doing
Mhm.
the school drop-offs, right? Like those kind of things, and I traveled a lot for work, so I wasn't always home, right? And cool, fine. But the day she was diagnosed, like I became primary parent, and then
Yeah.
the day she was gone, like that's it. Like you don't have anything. You just have to show up every day and be your best self for your kids.
Is it still hard to tell that? You got a little emotional. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. You relive, especially in so many of these moments, you relive it. And as you might know from grief as well, you never know when it's gonna hit, when the moment is gonna hit, when some song plays, when something. And so
Yep.
I like somebody shared with me that grief is a box, a ball, and a button. And when it
Mhm.
happens, the ball just fills this box and is just pressing on the button at all times. And as time passes, it gets smaller, and so the ball gets smaller, and so it starts bouncing around, and you never know when it's just going to hit on that
Mhm.
on that button again. And so, yeah, it's hard. I am glad to be able to share her story and talk about and do amazing things in her memory. But yeah, it still hurts.
I mean, it's your story, it's your
Yeah.
experience. I once had a therapist tell me that grief is like glitter. You can clean it up
Oh,
and you can kind of but you're always just it's gonna show up in areas and
yeah.
even in places you don't expect, in the corner of a room. But yeah, he told me that maybe 5, 10 years ago, and it stuck with me
Okay.
ever since.
I've
Yeah.
never heard that, but that is so true.
Yeah. I think yours were I mean, I've heard yours as well, and I think they're both the same, which
Yeah.
is that you can grow and you
Yep.
can obviously travel from that main impact, but
Yep.
it's always there. There's
Yep.
always something that's there, and it pops up when you least expect it.
Yeah, exactly.
When I mean, you said that you had that thought that you didn't want your son to lose another parent because you couldn't take care of yourself. When did that go from being maybe a thought in your head to an actual decision? Like, I need to do something.
So it started when, after a few months, I joined a gym and then I did that for a year or so and like lost some good weight, like was feeling stronger, was happier, all of those things. And then the small little global pandemic happened and we were all
Itty bitty.
itty tiny, tiny. We were all stuck in our houses. And so um, my son had a case in his daycare very early on. And so I pulled him out and it was just him and I for like 100 some odd days,
Wow.
basically alone in our house, right? Doing Zooms or whatever.
Yeah.
But um, and I decided I needed to get out and start moving. And so I went out and did some walks around in my neighborhood. And then I just kept loving this idea of walking. And then I joined a 500-mile challenge and I walked 500 miles in 102 days. I don't think I sang the song once, but
I didn't even know
now,
that.
yeah. But then I started wondering, well, hey, if I could walk 8 miles, 10 miles, what if I could run it and do it in like half the time? And I took my first steps running and kind of built from there.
I was gonna say, like, you do the math, 500 miles in 100 days is insane. I think the
Yeah,
most I've ever logged in a month, and I am not I do walk, but,
sure.
and I hike because 'cause I'm in Colorado, but
Yeah.
I just maybe I've had a couple 100-mile months where I've
Okay.
logged 100 but, like, that is one, speaks to your dedication, but that is
Yeah.
just mind-blowing how much you must have just been out there moving.
Yeah. Yeah, it really was. We were still remote at work, and so I ended up just moving all of my meetings to one block, and so it was just like phone
Oh.
call meetings, and I'm just like walking while taking care of, calling vendors or talking with the team or my boss or whatever, and I just like packed it all in so I could be out there for 3 hours because I was still
Yeah,
working, and it was fine.
yeah. I was gonna say also, like, walking and running, depending on how you wanna approach it, is really solitary. It can be if you want it
It
to be,
is. Yeah.
and it's very personal. Was that part of the draw? Because 'Cause I'll say I got into walking after I went through some major grief moments in my life where it just that kinda gave me a space to just sit in my thoughts and
Yeah.
ruminate or I don't know, relive something over and over, but was that kind of a draw for you, or was that did that not happen?
It I think it was an opportunity to just be alone and be not have somebody needing me, right?
Mhm.
A 4 or
Yeah,
5-year-old boy needing me at this point, um, and just finding ways to kinda rediscover things I like, because I think so often in couples, the things you do together are the things you just do, right? The place you go to eat,
uh,
the music you listen to, whatever, and I had forgotten after 13 years, like, what is Alex like?
yeah, yeah.
And so that gave me that opportunity to just find new things.
Yeah. It's so funny you say that because I had the exact same thing. It was after my divorce. I was married for 13 years, and I remember thinking, "I don't even know what I like to do." Like, everything
Yeah.
was just so entwined that I people would genuinely be like, "Go out, do what you like," and I was like, "I don't know what I like to do. I guess I like to take my kid to Target." I don't is that I like to drink coffee? Like, I didn't know, but that was how I just started walking because I was like, "Well, maybe I can find something that I like," and it grew from that a couple years ago.
Yeah, that's awesome.
What were your first real runs like? Like, be honest, because mine suck. I'll be fully honest. I'm a terrible runner.
What I had done a lot very early running was always run as fast as you can every single time and try to get a personal PR and whatever miles you're doing. And that's just not good running. That's how you get injured. That's how you get hurt. And so I've since changed that mindset, and I don't very often run the fastest or hardest I ever want to. So
I was gonna say, what does your training look like today then? Like, what does a week in Alex's running life look like?
marathon training, when I start a cycle, it's about 16 weeks. It's typically a Monday run, a Tuesday run, a Wednesday strength workout, a Thursday run, Friday off, Saturday long run, and then off on Sunday as well. So, and as training goes on, you kind of build your weekly miles. So the first week, you're probably 20-ish total miles, and by the end, I'm approaching like 40 miles for the week.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and that's because you get into the long distance,
Yeah.
about week 8 or so, it's a half marathon every weekend. From then
Whoa.
forward, yeah. So minimum, you're out there 13.1 each, for for each weekend.
A cross country coach that I had 2 of them when I was running. Her thought process, which maybe at shorter distances is not a bad idea, was
Hmm.
whatever distance you have to run in your race, you need to be training double that. So if we ran
Oh,
3 miles, we would do a lot of 6 or even like 7 or 8 milers.
sure.
So that as you were talking, I was thinking about that. I was like, I don't no one
No.
wants to double a marathon. No.
No, no. I mean, there are definitely people that I'm a brand of crazy. I understand that, having done 6 marathons now. But those ultra people who do
Mhm.
50 milers, 100 milers, like, they're nuts. And I mean that in the most loving, respectful way. Uh,
Respectful. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
holy wow, no, thank you.
Yes. No, I always say, like, I will cheer them on. My 3rd grader there's a running club in his elementary school, so he
Yeah,
did it last year. Um, and it was, like, for his grade, it was, like, a mile, that was probably the what they were doing.
yeah,
Um, but there were mile-and-a-half kids. I mean, there's half-mile kids, and even at that, I was like, "I will take you all to your races. I will cheer you on. I will make that race sign if you want me
yeah.
to." But, same with the ultras. I'm like, "That better you than me." So
Yep,
I'll just be a
same.
great cheerleader.
I love it.
And you've logged, I think, keep me honest, 4,200 miles since you started.
4,200 miles since I started. Yeah.
Was there ever a run where you thought, like, "I'm a runner now, like, this is what I do?"
The first time I did a 5K race in person with other people, I got slotted in the very first wave of that 5K because of my, like, speed, and I was like, "Oh, wow, like, I'm running with, like, the fastest people here," and then I realized, "What are you doing, dummy? You can't run this pace for 3 miles. Slow down." And so, but, like, being there and doing it just felt, I don't know, felt so cool. I
Yeah.
I feel like when I realized I was a distance runner, I had run 10 miles and felt good. It was the very first time I'd ever run
Oh.
10 miles, and I was like, "Oh, I could run a half marathon, like, what?
Yeah.
I have the endurance to actually do this now." And that was a big moment for me too, of just realizing that I could actually do this thing that I've always wondered, like, there's no way I'll ever run a half marathon. We have a really big half here in Indy called
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Indy
yeah, the
Mini.
indie half.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll never do that. There's no way. And one day I was like, oh my gosh, I could actually do that. So that
Um,
was cool.
I have ran a half. So I used to live outside Kansas City, and they had on 9/11, they had a race that went 9 hours, 11 minutes. So it started at
Wow.
noon, and
Okay.
then, it went till 9:11 PM.
Wow.
And, there were in the midst of that, I think there was a 5K run that started at, like, 5,
Okay.
but there you could do a marathon, or there was just an open, and it was literally, like, you could be there, and It was kind of on this it was not the best course setup, so hopefully they've changed it in the last 12, 15 years. But it was basically just at a park, and the park kinda had maybe a 0.75-mile loop
Oh,
around
okay. Yep.
cement loop, but there wasn't so it was kind of a track-ish in shape. You so we put tents and chairs and, we had some meals in the center,
Yeah.
and I signed up for the open course, so it was basically like however far you can go, go, and I did a
Wow.
half marathon,
That's
and,
awesome.
but we had our son at the time was, like, in daycare, and he had to be picked up by 5, so I did it. I did the half marathon, drove the 1 hour, got him out of daycare, dropped him off at the house because we had a babysitter, drove back, and then just, tried to keep walking past that, but I will say that, like, 2 hours of driving and sitting and then getting like, when I got back to the course, I was so sore. I was
Yeah.
so, that I think I made it maybe a couple laps, and I was like, "No, my legs are just screaming." So, um, but I remember having a similar thought of, if I have to do this, I like the longer distance. I'm almost
Yeah.
more comfortable with that than doing a 20-minute run and then I'm done. Because yeah, in
Yep.
that 20 minutes, I'm like you, I feel like I gotta go as hard as I can, as fast as I
Yes.
can, and I gotta,
Yes.
like, look good like all the other like, the elite marathon runners, I gotta look
Yeah.
the part, and yeah,
Yep.
no, no. And you have a great motto, which I love, which you shared with me, which is that forward is a pace, and it stopped me when I heard that, so where did it come from?
Yeah. So shortly after Amanda passed, somebody shared a TED talk with me that was by Nora McKerney, and she says that you don't move on from grief. So many people talk about moving on from grief, and like, why don't you move on? And as we talked about, you never move on. It's there, and her message was we move forward, and so that kind of started that process for me. Is like I'm not forgetting about Amanda. I'm not changing, like she is forever part of my life. I uh our 11-year-old son looks like her. He's got her curls. Like, I mean, I see that every single day. And so I'm moving forward and I'm honoring her legacy and trying to do stuff to remember her and share her story. And, in running, the part I've kind of added to this forward as a pace is no matter the speed, forward is a pace. And so when you're out running, when you're out walking, like that movement is what matters. It's that forward momentum of just taking one step. And it might take you 9 hours to get to the thing or 5 hours or 2 hours, but you just keep moving forward, keep chipping away at it. Said another way, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
One bite at a time.
Yeah. And so that's just always trying to move forward and do something good in the world.
And I also love that you called out when you got to London, Nike had a poster,
Yes.
and what did the poster say?
Yeah. So they had it in Boston. The sign said,
Oh, was it
r-
Boston?
it
Okay,
was
okay.
Boston, but Boston is like a week before London. It's kind
Mhm.
of same time frame. But Nike, so Boston is known for their elite runners. Like you have to qualify, time qualify to get in, or charity qualify and
Mhm.
fundraise a bunch of money to get in. So anyway, they had a poster that said, "Runners welcome, walkers tolerated," and it set off a firestorm of people. And I saw it on Thursday night, Friday morning. I kept seeing it everywhere and it just irked me. And so
Mhm.
I opened up Photoshop and cleaned it up and said, no matter the speed, forward is a pace, and posted, "Hey Nike, I fixed your sign for you." And um, it low key went viral too, which was
Yeah,
kind of
it did.
cool. Yeah. Um, but I don't know, so many positive messages from runners. Running World actually picked up my post as well and called
That's
it out.
awesome.
And yeah, it was very cool. Nike, in their defense, took it down. They put up a much more positive message. And I think that's what irked me the most is running is such an inclusive sport.
Mhm.
There are so many opportunities for people to run. And anytime we put down runners for walking any portion of a run, any portion of a race, like it just makes it so much harder for someone like me who
Yeah.
2019 Alex never would have gotten off the couch, right? To actually take the first step out that front door. And we don't need to demean runners,
No.
like, or walkers. Like, go out and movement forward is a pace, right? They just keep
Yeah.
moving.
I like your sign much better.
Thank you.
They should use it. Nike needs to contact you,
Yeah.
because that is I think you're right. It's so many people, I think running, as basic as it is, you don't need a lot of equipment or anything.
Yep.
So many people are scared to do it,
Yeah.
and so many people are scared to try, and that, messages like that are just one more item
Yep.
on their checklist of why I shouldn't even start this or why I shouldn't
Exactly.
attempt.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Let's walk through more of your marathons because you've
Yeah.
done, I wanna start with New York City. Was that your first?
It was not.
Okay,
Indianapolis,
okay,
Monumental, about a year before, November 22 was my first.
okay. So Indy was your first.
Yep.
What was your thought on that start line at Indy?
It was terrifying. I had an injury through my training. I was doing a half marathon training run, and at mile 10, I heard this like pop in my knee, and I was just like, "Oh my gosh." I called Lindsay and had her pick me up because I was like, I cannot make it home. I'm 3 miles away." Uh, and so I stopped running. I tried to recover. I did a half marathon. I finished. I was in some pretty notable pain, but I said if I could finish it, I will start this race about a month later. And so I did. Um I had never run more than the half marathon at that point though. So every
Oh.
step after 13.1 was the longest I'd ever run in my life. And so I didn't know
That's
about
crazy.
fueling. Yeah, it was crazy.
Oh,
I didn't know about anything. By mile 10, I was starving, and so I'm, like, I'm walking and eating a protein bar, like, on course because 'cause I'm like, "I don't have the energy to do this," so
yeah.
I I definitely walked, a good portion of that race, and, um but I finished, and that's what mattered. Like, who cares what time it is? I
Mhm.
am finishing a marathon. Like,
Yeah.
1% of the world ever does a marathon. And to be part of that elite club, if you will, I don't know. It made me so proud of myself to get out and do that.
Well, you're trying to be more than just that 1%. You are trying
Yes.
to do all 6 of
Yes.
the elite marathons, which
I am.
are which
Uh,
ones are they?
n Yep. Yeah. New York,
Mhm.
Boston, Chicago, Berlin, London, and Tokyo.
And you've done 5 now.
Uh,
London was your
yep.
5th.
Yep. London was 5th. Tokyo is the only one left.
So what's the plan for Tokyo?
Whew. Well, I
Should
have,
I ask that a week after you just got done with one?
yeah, so I have put my application in for to be a charity runner again for Tokyo. I don't have an answer yet. Tokyo is pretty interesting though. It has 9 cutoff checkpoints,
Oh.
and the other thing that's interesting is the time limit starts from the time the very first runner crosses. So the first
Oh.
runner starts at 9:10, you have 7 hours to finish the race. But if you don't start till 10:15, making up a time, right? Whatever
Yeah.
time you start, you then only have 5.5 hours, 5:45 left to do it, right? And so it's a really variable kind of race, and it makes me a little nervous of going out and spending all the money to fly to Tokyo and have a
Yeah.
vacation and right and all of that and get swept off the course. So still, taking some time with my coach and analyzing and understanding whether this is the right time and the right decision, but I've at least put an application in for now.
Yeah. When is it?
It is the first weekend in March. 2027 is the one I'm looking at.
You mentioned you're a charity runner, so you've ran
Yes,
for various charities, Boston, you ran for Dana-Farber's colorectal cancer,
I did.
and because that was Amanda's specific cancer.
It was.
Did that one feel different because you were running for that?
It did, and the charity commitments for Boston are so much higher. It's at least a $10,000 commitment. I think Dana Farber is now in the 15,000 range for this upcoming year. And so that's scary because when you commit as a charity runner, you give them your credit card. So if you raise $2 or $1,000, your card gets hit for the remaining portion of it. And so that was scary. And then to work with a group that just was focused in on colorectal cancer made it definitely feel more important and feel like I was making more of a difference, kind of honoring her legacy.
Yeah. And you ran for St. Jude in London,
I
correct?
did. Yes. I've run the other four for St. Jude actually.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, what made you pick St. Jude?
Yeah. So in my professional life, prior to what I do now, I actually worked in a partnership with St. Jude. I was
Oh,
kind of oversaw our relationship. My fraternity had a 1 million, 2.6, and a $10 million commitment to St. Jude, and so I through that got to go see the hospital and really get to understand what they are doing. But it got real for me after Amanda was diagnosed because after 2 weeks of treatment, we got a bill for $400,000. And so I'm just like, I don't know what to do with this. How do you pay a bill like that? And one thing that St. Jude does that is so much more meaningful to me now is they make sure no family ever receives a bill, not for treatment, housing, travel, or food. And the burden of fighting cancer, being a caregiver, being a family, and then that financial burden was just way too much. And so if I can be a part of making sure no family feels that financial burden, worth it every day, all day.
will you run for St. Jude for Tokyo too?
Yes, I applied at least with them, so hoping.
And throughout all of this, or maybe because of it, you also started your own nonprofit called Ketchup to Cancer. And for folks that haven't seen it, ketchup is spelled like the condiment. So first, I got to, you got to explain the name.
Yeah. So it started because my fiance Lindsay and I were at our July 4th parade, and she swore she saw somebody handing out ketchup packets. And we thought, haha, that's really funny. Like, we should do that sometime. And we didn't think about it. We forgot about it. And I was fundraising for Berlin, which was a $6,200 commitment. And my fundraising had just stopped. I had just raised $30,000 over the course of a year, and my network was just tapped out.
Yeah.
And so, we had that parade coming up, and we were like, oh, I wonder what that would be. And I looked it up, and to get into the parade, it was fill out a form and donate $50. I'm like, okay, let's buy some
Why not?
ketchup packets and hand them out. Wouldn't that be funny? And then I was out mowing, doing, the mundane thing and just thinking, how do I tie this ketchup thing to my fundraising? How do I make it significant? So catch up, catch up to cancer. And it like clicked. And so I ran inside and I said, Lindsay, catch up to cancer. And she looks at me like I'm completely nuts.
Like you have three heads.
Right. But I say it slower and catch up to cancer. And then it clicks. And so it became this like clever, I hate ketchup. I do
I was
not
like,
want it.
but you hate ketchup, right?
Yes, I do. It's disgusting. Uh, for some reason, it has appeared on a couple like fast food orders recently. I've like explicitly no ketchup, and I take a bite and there's ketchup all over the thing. And it's just, disastrous. So yeah, so my tagline became, I hate ketchup, but I hate cancer more.
I mean, Alex, I'm gonna admit I put ketchup on my tacos.
Do you?
So yes, and it is one of the weirder things I do, but I make, like, the standard white people tacos,
Sure.
and yeah, like, the best thing on it is the ketchup.
What? I'm
Yes.
just gonna hang up right now. Like, what? No, thank
And
you.
scene, our interview is over. I would say try it,
Wow.
I know you won't, maybe the audience will.
No. Yeah, maybe.
And you've raised you were kinda talking about it, and I think I did the math, you've raised 47,000 or over 47,000 for your races?
Yes. Yeah, so far 47,000 still working. Gonna hit that 50 real soon and dreaming about hitting that 100, but we got a little ways to go.
What are you hoping, especially with Ketchup to Cancer, what are you hoping that it will be in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years?
Yeah, so my marathon journey is done after Tokyo. Like my body is tired.
Yeah.
I am done doing it, putting the hours in. And so I started thinking about what is that next thing. And so I ended up creating the official charity of Ketchup to Cancer this past December, because
Oh, so
I want.
it's pretty new.
It's very new. The whole concept isn't even a year old.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I I now want to go give this opportunity to more runners, to be a charity runner and to fundraise and make a difference. And, I dream about Ketchup to Cancer being at hundreds of races, right? And we're sponsoring bibs and we're raising money to fight back against this thing because
Yeah.
it affects so many of us. And if I can just be a little part in hoping, and praying and fighting back, I'm in. And I,
Yeah.
to be able to give other runners that opportunity though too, or people like me who were terrified to get up off the couch.
Yep.
Let's give you that opportunity and make it a little less scary.
And you have a virtual run that you do through Ketchup to Cancer. It's 3.11 miles. Why
Yes.
3.11?
Yeah. So Amanda's favorite band was a band called 311. They
Okay.
are a big 90s like reggae
Mhm.
rock band. Fun fact, they are like the longest running band with the same members. They're like 30 some odd years
Oh.
that they have been together, all five of them. And so throughout Amanda's life, she always would just find 311 stuff. She'd see a hotel door sign, right, or whatever. She'd just take pictures of 311. And since she's passed, like the amount of times 311 shows up in my life is
Mhm.
insane,
Yeah.
and so a 5K is 3.1 miles. So let's just go a little bit more and just do 3.11 and have a nice little nod to her.
And you can do that at any point, right? The virtual run?
Yes, yeah. So I ran it originally from the date of her death, February 5th through March 22nd, and now
Okay.
I've just opened up the registration for 2027 and starting to get some excitement and people registering for that already.
That'll be amazing. I'll
Yeah,
sign up after this. That'll give
awesome.
me
Thank
plenty of
you.
time to
Yeah,
prepare.
yeah,
Every marathon has a finish line.
yes,
But the work that you're doing for cancer research, for families, for your own son and your family now, there's no finish line to that. So how do
no.
you keep going? How do you keep going when there's not that maybe line in the sand?
That is a good question. I think it comes down to forward is a pace.
Mhm.
Just keep, no matter how long it takes, no matter, just keep moving towards something and keep taking a step, and what I've learned from Ketchup to Cancer specifically is like every step like can open a different door. Like the reason we connected was a Threads post
Mhm.
that you did in December, and I was like, hey, oh yeah, sure, I'll try this thing out. I
Yeah.
don't know if I'll like it or not, but I'm gonna try it and just keep taking those steps. So I know that I'm leaving a good legacy for my son, so he can see what it means to be a man and uh, not be a terrible man, right? And be an empathetic man that cares about people and wants to make a difference in the world. And I hope that inspires him to be that kind of man as well.
I think you're doing an awesome job. I
Thank
really
you.
do. I don't, I can tell just through talking to you, through having known you the past few months, all of
Yeah,
the things I've seen, you're doing an awesome job.
thank you.
Really are. Amanda gave you three rules to follow.
She did.
What so as we wind down and end, what are those 3 rules so maybe our audience can impart a little bit of Amanda with their family as well?
Yeah. So she gave me three specific things that I needed to do for our son. The first one was uh, make sure to read him the Harry Potter books before we watch the movies, and so we just finished the Deathly Hollows about a month and a half ago. So we watched the movie. He's super. He's read to the Cursed Child now. Like he's in
He's into
hard.
it?
Oh gosh,
Okay.
so in. So that was number one done. Um, this all came out of a conversation about 6 months before she passed. She turned off the TV and just said, "I want to have a conversation, and I need you to make me three promises before I die." And so that's where all of this sparked. So Harry Potter was one. She number two was, uh, whenever you're ready, you're allowed to get remarried, but whoever you find has to love our son like he is her own. So very excited. I know I mentioned my fiance.
Yeah.
I have found that person, and I'm so glad that, our kids actually were the two who met, and brought us together, which is, a story for another day. But I don't know. It was just that was an amazing thing. So promise two met, and then number three was don't raise an asshole, and I'm still working on that. He's 11. We'll give it time, but I feel like we're laying some good groundwork here.
This is the foundational. I have a 12-year-old son, so this is
Yep.
a foundational age. Sometimes you gotta literally tell yourself, like, I'm playing the long game here. I'm playing the
Yes,
long game.
exactly.
Well, Alex, thank you for coming on. Thank you for
Thank you.
sharing. Your story is so personal. You tell it with such grace, and I I know our audience will have a lot to learn from it, but I also know that it takes courage and commitment to relive some of these moments. So I'm so honored you came on here and shared your story. I will tell folks. Oh, my last thing, I can't forget. How do
Yeah.
people find you? How do people find Ketchup to Cancer?
Yeah. So you can find me on Instagram and Threads, Ketchup to Cancer, Ketchup TO Cancer, spelled like the condiment, as you mentioned earlier. And then the website is ketchuptocancer.com. I've got information about the virtual race, how to donate. If you're in the Indianapolis area, how to volunteer as well, because we're hosting some events. And so we'd love to have you, and hope that you take the time and join us.
Well, I hope everyone does too. And we'll put all that in the show notes. Folks can participate. But Alex, thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. This was fantastic. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for spending time with us in the middle. If today's story caught your attention, drop a subscribe, share the episode, follow us on social media, and remember, it ain't over till it's over.